Some of my favorite excitement and content comes from when I get an opportunity to sit down with a local entrepreneur, business person, people in leadership roles, from a local perspective. Why? Because I'm obviously born and raised in Toronto, and to see other people around me that are doing similar things as myself and my team are, it's just so inspiring to see. I'm going to introduce my boy to the left of me, obviously on your screen if you're watching on YouTube or any of our other platforms to the right. His name is Sathish. How are you doing, my man?
I'm good. This is great setup.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Most people that say, hey, come for a podcast, it's like headphones and like little ghetto Amazon stuff that, you kind of speaking real loud into it to make sense. But this is a great setup.
I really appreciate. Well, you do a lot of this, so you know what? Coming from you, it means a lot, man. I really, really appreciate that.
Literally, I haven't seen this many cameras in one room.
I know. Well,
and lighting, like respect.
Okay.
People don't invest in lighting.
Okay, so first and foremost, I know our beautiful Clem is going to be so happy you made mention of that, because he's always on my case. I need more lighting, Jas. I need better lighting. So now I know he has another feather in his cap. But talking about cameras, you brought some cool gizmos here. Talk to me about this.
This is not the sponsored show.
Okay.
But if DJ Osmo Pocket likes it, I could use another one. One of my kids are going to break it for sure. But this is a brand new DJI Osmo Pocket. It's a 4K camera. It's got a gimbal, so it's a stabilizer
camera
built in. I can run with this. I can vlog with it. It's crazy, man. And it's an external memory card, so you literally unplug, put into a camera.
What does something like this go for?
This is about $400.
Okay.
And then it's got everything in it. It's got facial recognition. It's got fixed positioning things on vlogging. It just follows
Audio's
me.
pretty good.
Audio's pretty decent. Yeah,
Okay. And then what do we got over there?
That's a Ricoh 360 camera.
Okay.
And I am really excited about what 360 is going to do.
I just saw a YouTube video of you using this camera.
Yeah.
So talk to our viewers and listeners about this, because it's really cool what I saw.
So, we're now in an era where content creation is it. If whatever you're doing in business, startup, multinational, whatever it is, if you're not creating content to share, the value and the brand is not being built fast enough.
I agree.
But how do you create content that stands out? Because to afford a camera now is not a big issue. The phones like yours and mine come ready to shoot. And so I started thinking about, well, how does my content stand out? And I do a lot of stuff in music. And,
right.
Most DJs are the same. They have the angle down
right.
or the angle from behind. So I thought, well, why don't I do my DJ segments in a 360 environment?
Right. And do something a little different.
Yeah.
Talk to our viewers and our listeners about who you are, what you do.
Man.
Obviously, I know you're a big tech geek, and I love it because I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
But what do you do, and who are you, man?
So the who am I is really interesting, because I think that's one of the most loaded questions possible, because you can't I'm made up of so many different things.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a DJ. So who am I is really interesting.
Yeah.
What I'm excited about,
I love that.
which is probably a different question to ask, is I'm excited about building businesses that can disrupt industries.
Okay.
I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I went to school for computer science. I didn't want to. I wanted to be a psychologist. Ryerson.
Okay.
But
big difference, man. Computer science, and you wanted to be a psychologist.
I did, and then my parents were like, "No."
Okay.
You either be an accountant, engineer,
or a doctor,
or not.
Not
I wasn't smart enough to even get the option. It wasn't like be a doctor, and I said, "Okay, I don't want to."
So your parents know who their son was. I like that.
It wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay, man, let me take computers, because it was supposed to be fun, games, etc." So I went to first year, and I realized I spent the summer playing basketball and DJing, and these kids were in computer camp.
Okay.
I didn't even know that was a thing, like computer camps.
Yeah.
And I literally cried the first night, going, "What the hell am I doing? I just paid $7,000. I have no idea what these kids are talking about." And then it took me a few years to understand that tech and digital is going to change the world.
Right.
Like never before.
What year are we in now?
This is year 2, year 3. I'm 44.
Okay.
And so we're talking, I'm in my 18, 19-year-old version.
Okay.
And I was like,
I never thought you were 44, man.
Hey, it's
there's
another camera that makes me look younger.
That's the one. That's why you have that. Continue.
So I said, what the hell am I gonna do?
Right.
And around third year or so, there was a job fair that was happening. And I always thought a 50% is a 50% is a degree.
Sure.
Because in university, you have to get 90s to get to university.
Right.
But I figured, if me and you are in the same class,
Yes.
at the end of the 4 years, we'll both get a computer science degree.
Totally agree.
So why should I spend any more time than getting a 51?
Right. I get it.
Same piece of paper.
Yeah, right.
And then my first interview was with a KPMG guy recruiting. He was like, "What's your GPA score?" And I'm like, "Why? Why does it matter?" Because it was horrible. It was like, I can't even say it. That's how embarrassing it was. And that was the first time I realized that my strategy failed because
So it didn't work out the way that you thought.
Yeah.
I
And
get
so
it.
I was like, what the hell do I do? And so that was probably the first time I realized academically, I'm not that strong. Not because I'm a dumb kid. I just don't see any value in what I was learning.
And maybe, just to that point, Sathish, because I feel the same way. Like I actually don't have anything past my high school diploma, and I came to learn that I just didn't really learn in a class setting. It's not the way that my brain comprehended things, right?
Yeah.
I needed to learn at my own speed through books and seminars and then tapes and audio CDs and obviously now podcasts. But I feel it's a lot of people like that, right?
Yeah.
At that age, it's just it's not that they not necessarily smart or not. They might not be really like calculus driven or
exactly.
algebra driven, right?
No,
but
I
you put them in an
completely agree.
entrepreneur class, which we know that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But if it did, you would have excelled.
Yeah, without even knowing what that word meant.
Yeah.
And so I was really freaked out.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at, what else am I naturally good at? And, by that time, all of the first, second year who dropped out have already dropped out. We had a class of 220 kids. And I realized all of them had the same purpose. Graduate and go to work from Microsoft, Accenture, KPMG, sit in a cubicle, 5 years later, get a title, 10 years later, get a job. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. But what if I could figure out how to use my other skill sets? I was a DJ. So what does that mean? Well, I'm comfortable around people. I can organize a party. I could be charismatic. I can rock the crowd. Well, is that translatable in work? I don't know. I don't know what a sales guy was. And so I was like, okay, let me just write that down. And then I looked at, okay, I don't know how to code well, but I know how to solve the problem. And I'm one of those guys where like, I'm people's first phone call.
Right.
Because I'll have a solution.
Sure.
Roof falls down, call me. I have a solution.
The people, you're either a connector or you're just solution driven, right?
And 9 out of 10 times the first solution is not good, but I'll give you a solution and then we'll build on it. So I started looking around and internet was starting to happen. This is when like the websites were black and white, horrible looking.
Yeah.
And so I literally made a geo circle around the university and started going to all these small businesses and said, hey, if you don't know what the internet is, I'm in class. It's going to be big. Let me make you a website.
Interesting.
And then they said, we don't get it. How much is this thing?
Right.
I was like, well, maybe like $200. I don't know what money was worth. And they said, cool. So all of a sudden, I'm making these horrible websites. And then I was like, I don't want the 200. I need you to not hire anybody else in my class. So then I wouldn't give them an invoice. I would give them a list of the other 219 kids. And if you had a job opening and you considered one of these people, don't. I'm better. But if you hired somebody from another school, another campus, good on them.
Respect for that, man. I
but
like
do
that
not
hustle and
hire
grind. I like that.
these 219 people because I'm the best in class.
Right.
And that was my attitude. So I went to everybody, did work, gave them a thing. Now that I talk about it, I'm glad none of my friends hate me for doing that. But that was my strategy because I can get in front of clients and they had to wait for a recruiter to approach them. And I had to jump on it. And so without really planning, by the time I got into fourth year, I had a very successful business. And we're talking like, pre-2000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, when you're a kid in school and you're making 10, 20, 30K, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's,
beer
back
was
then,
$2.50.
I know.
You know what I mean?
know,
Like beer was $2.50.
And most kids just wanted to get, enough money to buy a six pack.
Yeah,
you know
and there was
what I mean?
no bottle service.
Right. Oh, forget that.
Like,
Yeah.
Lineups are $2 to get in.
Yeah.
Coach check is 50 cents. It was a whole different world. So
Totally
I was
different.
balling it. That's how I started my entrepreneur spirit, man.
Look, man, you said a magical word that made my ears pop. Attitude. I build my team, everyone that you see here and behind the camera. I'm glad the 360 is here because even my man Rochester, who tries to hide behind the camera, he's caught in camera now because of the 360, and everyone else. I generally hire on attitude more than skill. Only because I feel that if I have people around me that are going to run through walls for me, the skill we can learn, it's also to me a commodity, in all honesty, because, you know, there's a lot of videographers out there, a lot of graphic designers out there, but I would put my two guys, a lot of copywriters, you know what I'm saying? But I would put my team up against anyone because I know what they would do for me. Right? So what, like, as you are growing, and I want to get into the intricacies of all the stuff that you're doing, but what's your thoughts on that? Like, what's your thoughts on attitude over skill?
I agree completely, because most of the time, skills are a reflection of your history, right? Like, what did you do to get in front of me? But the world that, you know, you have, the companies that I've created, 50% of the time, we actually don't know what we're doing. We don't,
so true.
right? Like
so
when a client calls me and says, hey, I want to do this really cool augmented reality touchscreen thing, and it's worth $1 million, 50% of the time, we don't know how to build it. The other 50 is having the confidence to dream of a solution. And then if you could dream it, we'll figure it out.
So true.
Right? But
it's so true.
Your skills don't necessarily give you the ability to dream, because sometimes the skills hurt, because it's like, you know, if you only know how to use a hammer, everything is a nail to you. Right? So I tend to look for, similar to you, people that are brave enough to imagine something, even if it's the most ridiculous thing that we've ever thought about. And then we were willing as a company to lose money on that bet. Where we would lose more than $1 million to make it come true. Because the minute we do it, the next time we're making 90% margin on the same thinking.
Because you just got, you actually took action and did it. You know, talking about a hammer and a nail. I shot a video a couple of days ago that said that I suck at 99% of things. And it's true. Like, I have a problem hanging up a picture on the wall. It's just, it's not who I am. I still type like this, you know. I don't write long emails, but I have a full-time copywriter now. I have someone, you know, I have a handyman that I partnered up with, Jiffy On Demand, a huge company in Toronto, that they send somebody for me to do all that work. You know, camera, I can take some pictures when I've had some drinks, but now it's all about getting the right people around us in terms of building a team.
And that's something, going back to the education system for a quick second. They don't actually teach you that. They teach you the skill to be you, but you don't matter. Especially when you're in a leadership position. You are the least important person in the room.
So true, man. And I knew, you know, we obviously got connected through the beautiful Clem, and he made mention, and we have mutual friends, and he had made mention that, man, you guys gotta hook up. And this is like, Clem's been with us now for 6, 7, 8 months. I forget, it feels like it's been years, but the day that I met him, 2 days in or something, he was like, dude, you gotta meet Sathish because you guys are so similar. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of the guy, like, you know, we'll get around to it, right? So I'm so glad that the timing's right, because your big festival that you put on now, which is, to me, it's the biggest South Asian festival that happens right at Yonge-Dundas Square for our out of province and out of country listeners and viewers. It's the hot spot in Toronto.
It's the Times Square.
It's the Times Square. I love it. How did this all come about, this E-Fest, man? How did it come about?
So, like any great idea, you either started from pain or pleasure. You know, in this case, it was just pain. Like, you know, the same attitude I had in university, which is pursuing, you know, my non-academic interests. Music was one of them, but music in the South Asian family is always shunned upon when it becomes more than just music.
You say South Asian family. Where's family back
South
home?
India.
South India.
I was born in South India, but I grew up in Singapore. And so it's a mix of like, what the hell does even an Asian mean to me? Because you know, I had a version and then a change and then it changed again, and I was like, I'm just not gonna think about it, you know. But that was the problem. Where once I came to Canada, it was this constant request to put me in a box. Like, you speak Tamil, so you must be Sri Lankan. No, I'm from South India.
Do you speak Tamil?
I do.
Oh, cool.
But, you know, I didn't realize Tamil was an identifier for them. Because I never was exposed to Sri Lankans.
In Toronto,
in Singapore. So I was like, what do you mean? I speak Tamil.
That's
I'm not
language.
Tamil. But you are Tamil because you speak it. I'm so confused. Take me back to Singapore. Like, this is so weird. And then it's like, well, how come you don't know Hindi? Well, how come you don't know Tamil? Like, well, why are we having this? Because let's go play ball.
Why are we talking about? I get it.
You know, so it was really ridiculous. And so when I started my agency, Blue Band Digital, because I was one of the few South Asian CEOs in the mainstream world. We're talking about a 50-year-old industry that's, driven by mainstream Canadians with very little diversity. That was one of the reasons I started the company, to go, hey, why do I have to be a tech guy behind the scene? Why can't I be a creative director? Why can't I be a CEO and go up against the BBDOs, the John Streets, the big boys? Because I'm brown. And so I remember the first wave of calls we got was like for ethnic marketing. Because I'm brown and I run an agency. I'm like, no. Yeah. Let me run your mainstream program. I can run your digital program. I actually don't know how to do ethnic marketing.
Right.
And that was my answer for the first 3-4 months. And then I had a chance to volunteer for a music festival that was happening at Yonge-Dundas, where they just reached out because they wanted some digital. And I remember they spent all this time and effort to raise money. And then they would pay 90% of that to foreigners, people from India, Pakistan, UK, Africa. And then we got people in the city, in Scarborough, Brampton, Mississauga, that I personally knew they were making great music.
Right.
But we were either too brown for us.
Yes.
Or not brown enough.
Right.
So where did we get a chance to shine? And there was this anger that was building up because we didn't have an outlet.
Sure.
And we didn't have the same problems as our parents' generation. They're in survival mode.
100%.
We're in identity crisis.
Yeah,
So I was like,
I agree.
What the hell do we do? And so I reached out to these people and I said, hey, I've got artists. If you got budget, do you mind if we book some local talent? And they said, nope. Unless they want to pay, we can't give them the spot.
So unless the local artists pay, that's the only way that they can get on stage, okay?
They're already suffering.
Yes.
And how much of a slap is it to go, I'll give you 20 minutes, but you got to pay for it?
Right.
And in the context of a 2-3 day festival, 20 minutes means nothing.
Nothing. 100%.
But it was a big deal.
Right.
And we don't want to see urban and we don't want to see. So I was fighting it. And the best thing this lady told me was, she's like, Sathish, you're very passionate. Like, just do it yourself, bro. And I was like, what? And she's like, you know, if you're that passionate about it, you've seen the formula. It's not that difficult. Go raise some money, rent a stage, and do a show. And I was driving home that night pissed off because my ego was bruised.
Sure.
I was like, how dare you just challenge me to do my own shit?
Yeah. And not give me what I wanted.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to do a show. I just want 30 minutes of 3 days. And then I was like, well, nothing's ever been given to me. And this is the symptom. But this is also the future we're trying to change. So I said, okay, I'm in marketing. I've got clients. Let's just see and pitch. And so we created this brand called Desi Fest. For people that don't know, Desi simply means people. It doesn't imply culture, religion, gender, but immediately you think Indian.
100%.
Right?
Well, that's what they would call me from the state of Punjab. They'd say I'm Desi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's not the exact translation.
And
it's
fest
what you
is
said.
just fest.
Yes.
And so we wanted to create a platform that allowed us to use music to showcase the reality of the culture. Mm-hmm. We're no longer Bollywood only. We're no longer guy meets girl, runs in field, babies pop up.
Hide behind trees in Bollywood. I get it.
We have mental health issues. We have teenage pregnancy issues.
Yeah.
We have drug abuse issues. We have domestic violence.
Yeah.
We have all of these issues that get buried under this facade of like pretty culture.
Yeah.
And I wanted to unpack all that shit.
Yeah, I like that.
I also thought if statistics was right and South Asians end up becoming a majority in the country in the next 10 years, how important is it to be inclusive and transparent ASAP? Because if you look at history, a lot of the times the communities and civil wars happen is because one culture was not transparent, the other one had misconceptions, implosion happens, and people just create these negative assumptions about each other.
For sure.
But what if we put all of our good and bad out into the world?
Yeah.
Yes, we love curry, and there's a lingering smell. We make beautiful music. We like painting.
Yeah.
Indian family, Caucasian family, Asian family. We all care about the same family values.
Yes.
Our kids get hurt, we rush to sick kids. Like, we don't go to an Indian hospital.
No.
So why?
I only want to see an Indian doctor.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So I just wanted to see if we can unpack this, and then if you're gonna love us. Mm-hmm. Love us for the right reason.
Right.
And if you're going to hate us for the right reason.
Sir.
Because in either way, I have a chance to have a real conversation.
Right.
But if it's mysterious and smoke and mirror, I can't get to you.
Right.
So Desi Fest is really a platform to engage not just South Asians, but this notion of what does multicultural really mean in Canada? Are we really building an inclusive country once you peel the first few layers off? And 12 years later, yes, there's some improvements, but we're still a siloed country.
Yeah, we still have a lot.
Right? Like,
There's a long way to go.
why is Brampton Punjabi? Why is Mississauga Pakistani? Why is Scarborough Tamil? 12 years later.
Still the same thing. I mean, I've been here, I'm born and raised here, man. And so not much has changed in that sense, right?
And I think, my parents' generation, they did their best and they brought us here. And that's it. That's all they can do. They're in survival mode.
For sure.
And then it's up to me and my generation in our 40s to build an infrastructure. And then the next generation can't take on my problems. They're not here to build the country. They're supposed to grow it and enable it.
For sure.
But what are we giving them? If I just microed into South Asians, and I'm not venting, I'm sharing. We have one TV channel, ATN, that you have to pay for. It's not even free. So if you don't have a job, you can't afford it. There goes your culture.
Is Omni not around anymore?
It's there, but the cultural programming is Bollywood.
Got it.
10% of the content that's supposed to be South Asian is imported. It's not even local content.
Right.
Yes,
because it's a lot of stuff from Bollywood and stuff like that. Yeah.
Not really on radio.
No, not at all.
How many South Asian owned businesses can we name off the top? So for me, it's about saying, hey, people that are in the ability to change or create opportunities, this is your chance. Not when you're 60, when you're in your 40s.
Look, I mean, you hear it just somewhat on a tangent, right, Sathish, where a lot of people say, I'm going to make millions of dollars and then I'm going to give it all away in my 70s and my 80s. And I had somebody say to me, look, that's great, very noble, awesome. But there's a lot that you can do now, and I'm 37. There's a lot that you can do as you're going along, and you don't have to give away all the millions. You don't have to give away money all the time. It's just time.
And I spent a lot of time with young people. So I sold my agency in 2017. And since then, I've been doing a lot of work in entrepreneurship and helping young people, especially young people from minority backgrounds, just change their narrative.
What do you do that? How do you do that? Are you in schools now?
So I started working with Ryerson and helped set up an incubator. Focusing on science and science discipline and helping scientists become better entrepreneurs. But in doing so, I was just exposed to entrepreneurs in general. And then for the first 6 months or so, I was kind of like, who the hell am I going to share my story to? Because it feels like I'm the next YouTube guy. Hustle, do stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't even know how I got this far, because I just worked really hard.
Just put in the hours, you grinded,
and I was talking to somebody, and after you sell the company, something magical happens where you're now a success. I'm the same dude from 3 weeks ago, except I don't got to go to work. Nothing has changed. But this definition of success is forced on you, and I was like, I wasn't planning on being successful. I just tried really hard not to fail.
I like that. Well, pain and pleasure, right? Some go really some will take actions based on the pleasure, or some will just go away from pain. I actually don't think either or is right or wrong. It's what's going to work for you
and what motivates you to make the decisions you make.
I agree.
We tried so hard to make sure at least 5,000 people will come to the square. And we worked our asses off, and 50,000 showed up.
That's crazy.
I didn't plan on 50,000.
That's nuts.
I wanted to build a really cool company where we can challenge the stereotypical thinking of what an agency dude looked like. That brown people could be more creative, and the fact that not a lot of first timers are getting an opportunity in the industry.
When you say first timers, you mean local, like the artists that come to this fest are
I'm talking about agency now.
Agency, I apologize.
Because so many of the people that wanted to get in, if you're a good developer, if you're a good programmer, if you didn't have 2 to 3 years of experience, you can't get into the industry. So chicken and egg. So then we made it a philosophy to be the first for as many people as possible. Even if it means I'm going to hire you for 3 months, you now have a line item in your resume.
I love it.
Go. So out of the hundreds of people I've employed over the last 12 years, 95%. I was the first job in Canada. Now they're gone to be big art directors and producers, and Clem's a great example. When we first met, he's like, "Hey, I'm back home. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I just need to get in." I'm like, "Cool, come,
just get back."
And then here he is.
I know.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jas Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching the REC Experience. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Click here to watch and experience more videos from REC.